In a bold and unprecedented move, President Bola Tinubu has shaken up the country's economic landscape by suspending key tax measures, sending shockwaves through the business community and sparking intense discussions about their potential implications. With the aim of addressing concerns raised by the manufacturers and stakeholders, the decision marks a significant turning point in an ongoing debate surrounding tax policies and their profound impact on the nation's economy. As Nigeria braces itself for a new era of tax reforms, it's crucial to delve into the rationale behind President Tinubu's decision, assessing its potential effects on businesses and the overall economy. With me on the show, I introduced him earlier. He is a lawyer and a manager. He's with PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's Mr. Emmanuel Akpeme. It's good to see you, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thank you. It's always a great time discussing and having these conversations with you, Tolu.
Thank you so much. Well, let's start with your views on the signed executive order. You know, I wanted to have you even before now to talk about this because I really wanted your view immediately because we've been on this for some time. But let's start with your view about the newly signed orders. What does it really mean? How does it come to you?
Thank you very much, Tolu. And so for me, the newly signed executive orders show that we now have a government that listens to the people, that listens to the business and society or business environment. Now, the truth of the matter is most of the issues that these executive orders seek to resolve, there were issues that arose in the past governments. First of all, you recall the back and forth regarding the telecoms excise and duty on telecoms services. There was that back and forth between the past Minister of Communications and Digital Economy and the Minister of Finance. At a point, it was as if it was becoming embarrassing because you see the Minister of Communications say one thing today, and the next time the Minister of Finance say another thing. And so there have been that issue back and forth. And also, in the past administration, you've seen some of the outcry from the organized private sector, from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, saying that some of those taxes or excise that were imposed on the locally manufactured goods and services, that they were cumbersome. And so this government has come to say, let us even look at this and see how we can cushion the effect. And so I think, for me, my view is that the executive orders, they are some form of intervention measures, which shows that this government listens to the people.
I like that angle. Listen, because we need a listening government at this time. The business guys are going through hell. We've been reporting them here, and we know all of the issues they've been having to contend with before now. So, of course, that's a good one, being a listening government. But what exactly are the implications of these executive orders to businesses generally, and, of course, to an average Nigerian that is listening to us at the moment?
Okay, great. It is important we look at it because most people will just say the executive orders. What is the implication? How does it impact? Because I've had conversations where they said, okay, after this suspension or after this postponement of the commencement, won't it still
for Finance Act, right?
Yes, for the Finance Act. So the point I want to say is this: it is very important we even address this issue. Businesses generally, they know that tax is something that they will always pay. So that is one thing they will always grapple with. And for business planning and continuity, they always like some form of or some level of certainty or stability. And it is important that when taxes are imposed, that they have time to plan what they do, time to plan how you have to collect the tax, time to plan how it is being administered. But this particular law came in and there was no time. Let's start with, for example, the Finance Act. The Finance Act was signed on 28th of May this year. And in it was stated that it will start operating on the 1st of May, while it was only made known to the people, to the public, sometime in June. The business community didn't have the time to plan their ERPs, to plan how they're going to go about it. And one of the pillars of taxation, or one of the principles of taxation, is certainty. And so for the businesses now, they have a period of 90 days to now go back and then plan how to comply with the provisions of the Finance Act 2023. Now, on the other hand, is the issue of some of the excise duties on telecommunications and locally manufactured goods. Now, these particular taxes, they are such that there were no much of stakeholders consultation and participation. And so for the business community, they now see this as room for them to further engage with the government. And to the man on the road, the common and the average Nigerian,
yes,
the implication is that the supposed increase in the service fees, because if, for example, there is excise duty on telecom services, the companies will transfer it to the final consumer. And so, give or take, there would have been some increase in what we will pay.
Yes.
So for the final consumer now, the implication now is that there's at least a stop in that increase based on the suspension of telecoms and services excise duty. So I think it's a good one in the overall.
Great stuff. But does it mean that it's a final victory for telecommunications services industry and, of course, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria?
Okay, Tolu, how I wish I would say it is, but the truth of the matter is it is not. So this has been applauded and people are really happy about these executive orders. But it is more of saying you are in a game and maybe your team scored a goal. The game is still on.
Still on.
The game is still on. The
opponents can still...
You know, so now it is important we also look at it this way because this is a legal issue.
All right.
The Finance Act 2023 provided that there must be excise on all services, including the telecoms services. That is a law. That is there. Now, the president has come to suspend that. There is now a suspension of that provision, or to say that the telecoms excise duty on telecom services and other locally manufactured goods have been suspended. But there is a law that says there must be excise on all services and telecom services. So by September 1st, 2023, there is need that law becomes effective. So even though there's a suspension, it is not yet uhuru, because if the government doesn't impose that excise on telecoms and other services, it will be as if it is against, going contrary to the provisions of the law. So this period of suspension is a period for more engagements. It's a period for the government to engage with these sectors, with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. They shouldn't just say, okay, it is suspended and it is suspended. No, that suspension is not an outright repeal. That suspension is not an annulment. That tax remains in our body of laws, even though Finance Act 2023 has been postponed till September. But by September, the provision that says that excise will be on all services and on the telecoms kicks up. So it is now for the government to see how they are going to now engage with these sectors to now know how much or what is the rate of excise that will be. But to say that there's excise on telecoms, it will surely kick off from September. That is on the one hand. On the other hand is the issue of, because one of the other excise that was suspended was for other locally manufactured products. You remember the excise duty on carbonated drinks?
Yeah.
That is one of it, because it's a locally manufactured goods. Now, that excise duty on carbonated drinks, it's a law. The Finance Act 2021 made provision that for every 1 liter of carbonated sweetened drinks, there will be 10 naira excise on it. So suspending those excise through an executive order is just a temporary measure. There is still room for all these stakeholders to come to the engagement table, to that negotiation table, to now say, okay, these are the issues we have about this, and how will our interests be protected? Or on the other hand, amend the law. So that's why I say, how I wish I would say that it is victory at last, but there is still a whole lot to be done.
It's not yet who, right?
It is not yet.
But what, in your opinion, is the best way to handle all of these issues and address these challenges?
Thank you, Tolu. For me, I would say that the government has already started on the right path, and which is that Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy Reforms and Tax Reforms. So that is the step in the right direction, because our tax laws needs a whole lot of overhaul, total overhaul. It is not just in piecemeal, because as you have seen, doing it in piecemeal will impact on others, on other parts of it. So it is important that there is a committee that looks at this fiscal policies and the tax laws generally, and then come out with a report, will come out with recommendations after the various stakeholders have been engaged, after we have made use of data, available data, to see what is the best way to really attack these perennial fiscal challenges that we've been having for the past years. And so I think the government is on the right path. Let the present committee on the fiscal reforms and tax reforms look at it and then come up with the best path we will go. I think when they come up with that, it will be great.
Wrapping up almost shortly now, many have talked about that committee and say that they don't want to overburden the Nigerians with tax. They are saying that is either we look at expanding the net, bringing in the informal guys, all of this. But Nigerians obviously want to pay more. So I don't know how you react to that. And our tax to GDP ratio still remains, with the review, I think about 10% now. We used to be at 6% for a long while. How do you see us putting all of this right and getting to where we should be without, be burdening people?
Tolu, nobody likes paying tax across the world.
Maybe they need to see more of what government is doing with the money.
Fantastic. So that is the point. Nobody likes paying tax, but if the taxpayers see what their taxes are doing, if the taxpayers see that, okay, the tax I pay, it has brought me good roads, it has made me have constant power supply, it has made me enjoy some social amenities.
Yeah.
It will increase the motivation level of the taxpayers. And so what I want to say is, number one, the current government should do more of letting the people see how the taxes are working for them. I always say this: you can't start telling the informal sector, the market woman, to say, come and pay tax, when the market woman doesn't see how her taxes is working for her. The road to her shop is always flooded when rain falls, making customers not to come there. She doesn't have constant power to...
She uses generator. She has to buy fuel.
You see the micro and small enterprises struggling with energy and all that. So if this government will make them see this, the road you ply, what is the state of the road? After going through your road, you keep on repairing your cars and all that. So if the people see that their taxes are really working, and not hearing news of corruption, of somebody stealing money and all that, if that is done, I tell you, the motivation level of Nigerians will increase. And then finally, the best way is the expansion of the tax net, because if we keep on imposing new taxes on the current businesses that pay tax, it will lead to their debts. Continuing imposing new taxes on these current businesses is like asking somebody who is anemic to donate blood. So it will lead to debt.
Straight.
So it is important that we encourage these businesses. And that's why I so much like the report that Dele Alake and others made, which is that the government does not want to tax production, but they want to tax consumption. So let us encourage production. And then at the point of consumption, then you can then start taxing. I think that is the best way to go.
Interesting, because this issue of multiple taxation is something that we should put behind us as soon as we can. Just yesterday I saw some shops around and I saw some being sealed up, and I heard they've not paid some levies, they've not paid some taxes, and I tend to be worried about this. Let's wrap up with what role does technology also play in helping our tax system get better than it is at the moment?
Ease of doing business. So, Tolu, even though we speak about taxes,
Yes.
there is the cost of collection of tax.
True.
So, if I want to collect 10 naira from you, I shouldn't be spending 8 naira or 10 naira to collect the taxes from you. So, where technology comes in, when technology enables the ease of collection and administration of taxes. So, and I think that is where it is. For example, this introduction of the informal sector. Imagine the cost of going to every store in Lagos Island to collect taxes. It will be so costly.
Yeah.
So technology comes in to make it easier and to make it more cost effective. I think that is where technology comes in. And another point is that technology helps for data gathering.
Yeah.
Data gathering. It will help us to really get data and then work on the data to see how best do we even make the micro businesses to come up to the small size businesses, and also to how do we also make the small sizes to come up to the medium and medium sizes to come up to the large. So that is where technology comes in. It makes for ease and also makes for more cost effectiveness.
I must thank you so much for your time. Brilliant conversation as usual. Mr. Emmanuel Akpeme is a lawyer and he is a manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers. They're making sense of the executive orders of President Bola Tinubu, expectations and of course impacts on Nigeria's business environment. Thank you so much. Do have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you, Tolu.
All right, and a profitable week ahead.
You too.